Midweek, entire floors sit empty in America's biggest casinos. Once the heart of Las Vegas, 9 iconic resorts, MGM Grand, Mandalay Bay, Luxor, Excalibur, New York, Bellagio, Caesars Palace, Paris, Las Vegas, and Flamingo, Las Vegas, are bleeding visitors and slashing staff, with weekday occupancy dropping below 70%. The Strip's old promise of generosity has vanished, replaced by overpriced basics and ruthless odds. Industry leaders have fallen off stock indexes. Corporate debts are piling up, and for workers and guests, the cracks are impossible to ignore. This is not just a downturn, it is a silent collapse threatening to reshape Las Vegas itself. So how did these casinos, built to never lose, find themselves on the brink? And what happens if they fail? Disclaimer: this is speculative analysis based on public industry trends, not insider certainty. For decades, Las Vegas promised the ordinary visitor a taste of the high life. In the 1980s and the 90s, a middle-class tourist could fly in on a budget airline, check into a strip hotel for under $40 a night, and step onto a casino floor where every player felt valued. Buffets piled high for a few dollars, free drinks flowed with every hand, and the odds on blackjack or slots offered a fighting chance. It did not matter if you were betting $5 or $500, the city built its legend on making everyone feel like a winner, or at least like they belonged. The old Las Vegas let anyone feel like a high roller. Comps were not just for whales. Regulars remember slipping a player's card into a slot machine and racking up points for free meals, show tickets, even a room upgrade. Casino hosts greeted returning guests by name, and the phrase resort fee was unheard of. Parking was free, and the only surprise on your bill might be an extra dessert at the buffet, not a $45 daily charge for Wi-Fi and bottled water. The Strip was a place where a family on a summer road trip could stretch their dollars and still walk away with stories. But that world has faded. In the past 15 years, the average nightly room rate on the Strip has more than doubled, even before tacking on resort fees that routinely exceed $50 per night. Parking, once a given, now costs as much as dinner. A basic buffet that cost $7.99 in 1995 can top $45 today. Free drinks are watered down or rationed by algorithm, and the comp system has tightened to reward only the highest spenders. The rise of corporate ownership changed the game. Pricing is set by yield management software, not by a pit boss looking to keep you playing. Every amenity, from early check-in to pool access, comes with a surcharge. Even the odds at the tables have shifted, making it harder for casual gamblers to walk away with a win. Longtime visitors talk about feeling like outsiders in a city that once welcomed them. The sense of being nickel and dimed, charged for every convenience, offered little in return, has replaced the old magic. For many, the thrill of Vegas was not about winning big, but about feeling like they mattered, even if just for a weekend. Now, as prices soar and perks vanish, the Strip's promise of shared excitement has given way to a colder, more transactional experience. The old Vegas, where anyone could feel like a high roller, has become a memory, leaving behind a city that has lost touch with the very people who made it famous. Casino math, once a quiet promise of possibility, has turned into a calculated disadvantage for most visitors. The odds that once drew crowds to the Strip now drive them away. Blackjack, the game that defined Las Vegas for generations, has shifted in the casino's favor. At more than 3/4 of tables, a blackjack pays 6 to 5 instead of the traditional 3 to 2. That single change increases the house edge from 0.5% to nearly 2%, a subtle adjustment with a massive impact over thousands of hands. For the casual player, that means less time at the table and fewer chances to win. Roulette, too, has been re-engineered. Over half the wheels on the Strip now feature a third zero, bumping the house advantage from 5.26% to a punishing 7.69%. These are not isolated tweaks. They are now the standard at nearly every major property. The numbers off the casino floor tell a similar story. Strip-wide occupancy has dropped below 70% on weekdays, leaving towers of empty rooms where once there were waiting lists. Caesars Entertainment, a name synonymous with Vegas, was removed from the S&P 500 in June 2025, a public signal of declining confidence from Wall Street. Corporate filings show a net income drop of nearly 21% year-over-year for Caesars, and MGM's reports reflect the same downward pull. Domestic flights to Las Vegas are down almost 4%, and international visitor numbers have slid by double digits. The result? Tens of thousands of unsold room nights and shrinking margins, even as prices for guests remain at record highs. Casino operators have responded by tightening every variable they control. Slot payouts, once hovering above 92%, now dip as low as 88.5% at some properties. Player complaints about unbeatable machines and impossible tables have become common enough to appear in regulatory surveys and guest forums. Meanwhile, the cost of just keeping the doors open, lease payments to real estate investment trusts like Vici Properties, remains fixed and relentless. Confidential lender presentations warn that even a 5% drop in profits could trigger default clauses, putting entire portfolios at risk. In this environment, every percentage point matters, not just for gamblers, but for the survival of the casinos themselves. The evidence is no longer anecdotal. The Strip's business model, once built on volume and generosity, now runs on scarcity and extraction. The math is clear, the odds have shifted, the visitors have noticed, and the financial alarms are sounding across the city's most iconic properties. MGM Resorts holds more rooms on the Strip than any other operator, and its 5 main properties, MGM Grand, Mandalay Bay, Luxor, Excalibur, and New York, New York, are now under mounting strain. At the MGM Grand, the largest hotel in Las Vegas, labor cuts have become routine. Housekeepers who once worked steady shifts now scramble for hours, often competing for the same handful of assignments. A cocktail server with over a decade at the property sums up the new reality. My 5 shifts became 3. Tips used to cover my rent. Now, I am choosing which bills to pay. Bartenders in the casino lounges polish glasses for hours, waiting for guests who never arrive. The casino floor, once humming with conventions and tourists, now dims its lights during slow stretches. Management calls these changes operational efficiency, but for workers it means fewer dealers, fewer cooks, and a growing reliance on part-time and on-call staff. Many employees have picked up second jobs or turned to food pantries. Union records from summer 2025 show a sharp rise in hardship requests and emergency aid among MGM staff. Break rooms are tense, with every new memo sparking rumors of layoffs or more shift cuts. Across the street, Mandalay Bay faces a different pressure: the relentless demands of its leaseback with VICI properties. Each month, a fixed rent, part of a $292 million annual obligation shared with MGM Grand, comes due, no matter how many rooms are filled or how many gamblers walk the floor. Lease escalation clauses guarantee these payments will rise, even as occupancy softens. Internal lender presentations from spring 2025 warn that just a 5% drop in profit could trigger default clauses, forcing MGM to negotiate with landlords or risk losing control of the property. The lease is more than a line item. It is a tripwire. If MGM misses a rent payment, they have 5 business days to cure the default before VIC. I can legally move to cease operations. With master leases structured to cross default, a breach at Mandalay Bay could ripple across the entire MGM portfolio. At Luxor, the strain turned sudden. On March 18, 2025, managers got word late at night that the East Gaming Wing would close at 3 a.m. By sunrise, 430 employees, dealers, slot techs, and support staff were told their jobs were gone. Half the casino floor went dark. Slot machines were powered down, and the company statement called it temporary remodeling. Workers received permanent layoff notices. A dealer who spent 12 years at Luxor remembers, people were crying. Nobody saw it coming. Excalibur's cuts have been quieter but just as deep. Housekeepers and bartenders now work as little as 2 days a week. The hotel, once a family favorite, closes entire towers midweek to save on labor and utilities. Managers talk about right-sizing and flexible staffing, but morale is low. Employee turnover is up, and guests complain about slow service and uncleaned rooms. New York, New York, with its roller coaster and replica skyline, faces its own lease obligations. Like Mandalay Bay, it sits in a master lease pool with VICI. If room sales drop below $1.8 million a year, the property could tip into the red, triggering more aggressive restructuring. Across these 5 properties, the margin for error is gone. Every dollar matters, every guest counts, and the pressure from landlords and lenders never lets up. The Strip's lights still shine, but behind the scenes, the foundation is starting to crack. Disclaimer: this is speculative analysis based on public industry trends, not insider certainty. Bellagio once defined the height of Las Vegas luxury, a destination where high rollers and celebrities mingled over marble floors and fountains. By mid-2025, the casino's prized clientele had begun to vanish. Player tracking data reveals a sharp drop. Return visits by Bellagio's top-tier guests fell between 12 and 18% compared to just 3 years earlier. A former VIP host describes the exodus in stark terms. "The whales are gone. They are in California or playing online. We cannot comp enough to bring them back." For decades, Bellagio's allure rested on service, exclusivity, and a sense that the odds were fair. That changed as management tightened blackjack rules and replaced 3-2 payouts with 6-5 across most pits. The house edge nearly quadrupled overnight. A longtime guest from Chicago says he walked away when his favorite table switched to 6-5. It is not the Bellagio he remembers. The property's hold on the high-end market weakened further as resort fees climbed and comp suites became scarce. In 2024 and 2025, Bellagio invested $110 million in suite and spa renovations, but the returns never matched expectations. Occupancy in top-tier rooms slipped, and convention bookings failed to fill the gap left by absent VIPs. Caesar's Palace faces a similar unraveling. Once the epicenter of spectacle and celebrity, it now struggles to retain the players and events that built its reputation. Internal reports show net income down almost 21% year-over-year, with a notable slide in table game volume. Hosts confirm that competed guests who were once fiercely loyal are defecting to tribal casinos in Arizona and California, chasing better odds and more generous perks. Caesar's loyalty program, long seen as a gold standard, has become a source of frustration. Points accumulate slower and redemption rates have quietly worsened. A regular from Dallas sums up the mood. He used to feel like a king. Now he is just another number in the system. Paris Las Vegas, built to evoke the romance of Europe, is now caught in a cycle of deferred maintenance and capital shortfalls. Renovations planned for late 2024 were paused indefinitely after weak spring earnings. Guests complain of aging decor, stuck elevators, and unrenovated rooms. Maintenance staff report shrinking budgets and patchwork fixes. The South Tower, once a selling point for group bookings, has slipped out of favor with event planners. Some conventions have postponed or canceled, citing concerns about ongoing construction and reliability. Paris has quietly fallen off several travel aggregator top Vegas hotels lists, a blow to its reputation in a crowded market. At Flamingo, the oldest operating resort on the Strip, the stress is even more visible. In early 2025, frontline staffing was slashed to match falling occupancy. Publicly reported rates dropped below 75%, well under the Strip average. Housekeepers and food service workers report unpredictable schedules and mounting pressure to do more with less. Guest complaints about late room turnover and closed amenities have spiked. Ratings on major travel sites are at their lowest in a decade, and aggressive promotional rates have failed to fill empty rooms. Flamingo's struggle to compete with newer, flashier properties leaves it vulnerable to further cuts or even a potential sale. Across these 4 landmarks, the same pattern repeats. Loyalty programs stripped of value, capital projects postponed, and service levels eroded by relentless cost-cutting. High rollers leave for better offers elsewhere. Regular guests, once the lifeblood of these casinos, find little reason to return. Staff who built their lives around the promise of steady work now face shrinking hours and uncertain futures. The Strip's most storied addresses are locked in a fight for survival, one that no longer guarantees a happy ending. Hidden beneath the casino floors and neon lights, a different kind of gamble plays out every month. The 9 at-risk Strip giants are locked into long-term master leases with real estate investment trusts like VICI Properties, and those contracts are full of legal tripwires. These are triple net leases, meaning the casino operator pays not just rent, but also taxes, insurance, and maintenance. What makes these contracts dangerous is not just the size of the rent checks, but the legal traps buried in the fine print. If a casino operator misses a rent payment, the clock starts ticking. The landlord issues a written notice, and the operator has exactly 5 business days to find the cash and pay in full. If the payment is not made within that window, the lease is in default. At that point, the landlord can terminate the lease, demand all unpaid amounts, and even move to cease operations. There is no room for negotiation or delay. 5 days is all the protection these multi-billion-dollar businesses get. The risk does not stop there. Most master leases are cross-defaulted. That means a breach at one property, for example Mandalay Bay, can trigger default across every casino in the lease pool, including MGM Grand, Luxor, Excalibur, and New York, New York. A single missed payment can set off a chain reaction, threatening an entire portfolio. Even before default, if the casino's financial performance slips and the rent coverage ratio drops below a set threshold, operators can be forced to escrow cash, tighten spending, or face increased scrutiny from landlords and lenders. These mechanics turn a bad quarter into a crisis. The legal structure is designed to protect the landlord's income, not the operator's survival. In a market downturn, the 5-day cure period and cross-default clauses mean trouble can spread in days, not months. When the numbers go red, there is nowhere to hide. Disclaimer: this is speculative analysis based on public industry trends, not insider certainty. Gamblers aren't waiting for the Strip to fix itself. As odds have worsened and fees have piled up, a new wave of options has pulled away both casual players and high rollers. Digital casinos, once a novelty, are now a force, with iCasino revenues up 51% in the past year alone. Online platforms offer instant access, better odds, and sign-up bonuses that Vegas cannot match. For many, the phone in their pocket delivers more excitement than a $45 blackjack table. Downtown Las Vegas is thriving as well, with revenue climbing 8% year over year. These smaller independent casinos have leaned into the old Vegas playbook: free parking, looser slots, and a sense of community that the mega resorts have abandoned. Regulars who once stayed at the Flamingo or Excalibur now split their time between Fremont Street and regional casinos in California and Arizona. Tribal and riverboat casinos across the Southwest are reporting double-digit increases in visitation, fueled by defectors from the Strip. The impact reaches far beyond casino walls. Clark County's tax base depends on those 9 giants, and every empty room or lost gambler chips away at public revenue. City leaders warn that if visitation keeps sliding, essential services, from school funding to road repairs, could face budget shortfalls. The stakes are real, and the numbers are already moving. The workforce is caught in the crossfire. Fewer guests mean fewer jobs, and layoffs ripple through neighborhoods where entire families depend on casino paychecks. The Strip's collapse is not just a business story. It is a civic crisis in slow motion, with no easy fix in sight. If these 9 giants are in trouble, can Las Vegas itself survive the next decade? Today, Las Vegas's icons stand at a crossroads, caught between soaring debt and shrinking crowds. As REIT lease pressures tighten and visitor numbers drop, the fate of these 9 giants signals more than corporate struggle. It is a warning shot for the entire industry. If the Strip's brightest lights can flicker, nothing about Vegas's future is guaranteed. The next decade will decide whether the city reinvents or vanishes behind its own neon.